All grinders will look a little different, but they will all do the same job. While the espresso machine looks pretty and can look pretty daunting, it's simple and easy to use once you have the hang of it. It's actually the grinder that does most of the work in making an espresso go from tasting good to tasting great. Starting from the top down, we have the hopper. This is the place that holds the beans before going in to be ground. It's the second best place to keep your beans, the first being in the seal bags that they come in. The hopper lid should always remain on top of the hopper to keep any oxygen out. It's the oxygen reacting with the beans that makes them go stale. Should you ever need to take off your hopper, always make sure that the open and close valve here is closed. Take the hopper off without it closed and you'll have beans absolutely everywhere. We've all been there at some point. Alternatively, when putting the hopper back on, make sure the release valve is open so your beans can get into the grinder. The next bit on our grinder is the dial collar. The dial collar is the part of the machine that helps you change the coarseness or fineness of the espresso grind. You can see here there are numbers ranging from 0 to 110. Some grinders will have their dial collars as a digital screen or can just appear as notches. The important thing to note is that these numbers are just a gauge. You can't say that number 5, for example, represents a particular grind. It just tells you that 5 is finer than 6. Here and here, we have the words coarser or finer. Again, some grinders will only have a plus or a minus. Basically, bigger numbers represent a coarser grind, while smaller numbers represent a finer grind. To move the dial collar on this particular grinder, we have to loosen this screw here, which will allow us to move the dial collar by gently pushing clockwise or anti-clockwise. Below the dial collar, we have the display screen. This one is touchscreen. You can see that the number 2 is highlighted, and you can see on the screen it tells us that our dosing time is 3.35 seconds. That's how long it's going to take our grinder to dose out roughly 18 grams or a double shot. In theory, you could set this grinder up to have a single shot or a triple shot, but as we're only using double shots with our recipes, I'll only be using program 2. This part is called the coffee chute. It's where the coffee comes out of, and just below it is the group handle holder. The group handle sits in there, and we gently tap this little button at the back here with the handle to automatically dose your coffee. Lastly, the drip tray. Over the course of a few hours, the drip tray here is going to build up a lot of coffee grinds. We want to keep our workstations looking clean and neat as tidy as possible, so we just unclip it and throw it straight into the bin or the nut box.